The Spin-off Podcast Network.
This is Kiwi is back for a brand new season with more inspiring kōrero from special guests including rugby player, father and role model TJ Perenara.
My family bring me joy. Rugby brings me joy too, but it's not the same joy as my family brings me.
And global dancer and choreographer Kirsten Dodgen.
For some reason, people think I'm very intimidating.
Listen to the new season of This is Kiwi, brought to you by the Spin-off Podcast Network in collaboration with KiwiBank. Available now wherever you get your podcasts.
This episode is brought to you by Snapple. Want to know another Snapple fact? The first hot air balloon passengers were a sheep, a duck, and a rooster. Ridiculous. Check out Snapple.com to find ridiculously flavored Snapple near you.
Would it shock you if someone on this season of MAFS was a cannibal? And if not, who would it be? I think it's the guy with the X on the outside
It is.
that he's still in love with.
It's
He's got
definitely
hardcore cannibal energy.
totally him. Kia ora koutou, welcome to The Real Pod. We are recapping. I've lost my words. It's going to be a great pod. We are recapping Married at First Sight Australia Season 10, Week 2. My name's Jane Yee. I'm joined by Duncan Grieve. I'm also joined by Alex Casey.
Hello.
Who?
Alex who?
Hey?
Alex Cahoots.
I need to preface this by saying we just recorded an entire other podcast and I think my words are done.
I think because you took a huge emotional dump in that last podcast.
Yeah, I took not as big as Alex's emotional dump, to be fair.
That's true.
I'm really stressed remote recording, guys. I'm like running this voice memos app like you would not believe.
I feel like we were going to end up needing like a separate engineer in Christchurch in Alex's study. Just
massaging my shoulders.
If you want to talk about Married at First Sight or any other reality TV or anything else in general, go to our show notes. You'll find links to the Real Pod Corner on Facebook.
Not
and also,
anything else in general.
Almost.
Well, there must be limits.
We've yet to reach them. Also, links to our Discord. This has been a hell of a week. We're straight into the drama. We're not even through all the weddings yet, and we're straight into the drama. So I think we'll just start with the two couples that got married this week.
Oh, fuck. Yes, we should.
God. I can't believe we had weddings at the start of this week. I just feel so emotionally drained.
Really?
And I realize it's all from just maths. Like I don't do anything else. There's nothing else in my life draining me apart from this damn show.
I think we should just dive straight in. I think, Alex, are you ready? Can you just hold on to your emotions there and just
I'm ready. Let me just check again that I'm recording. Okay.
Don't be so hysterical and emotional all the time, would you please?
Sorry, it's so good to have someone so rational in the room.
Okay, Melinda and Leighton, these are the two people with Porsches. They're
White
both
Porsches.
They're both successful business people with their successful businesses that are something to do with things. And
medicinal animal weed.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
pet weed. He sells dog weed.
Oh, my God. We should do a
I-
podcast with Adam.
It was just very funny because it's like, the way that he presents and it's like, he's in the nutritionics kind of industry. And then he just sort of says out the side of his mouth that it's like pet weed. And I'm like, you like getting high. I'm sorry.
With your pets.
Yeah, that's all good. But
Who does
That's how he discovered it, right? He was like hotboxing his car and he had his Jack Russell in the back and noticed that Jack Russell suddenly just chilled and was just like suddenly like a greyhound. And he was like, there might be something in this.
Do you think he was high? He was high when he saw that money tree as a kid. It's just like
the money tree.
so much control for such a banal scene.
And so much conversation about a money tree like that's a thing.
I know.
And so much weeping over the money.
The only money tree thing I am aware of is my parents telling me money doesn't grow on trees. And also I think there's like a money plant or something, but it's not an actually growing money thing.
Now we're repeating the money tree crime by talking more about this stupid thing.
Okay, I mean, basically with these two, Melinda wasn't sure. She thought he wasn't self-made, and then that sort of threw lots of red flags for her.
Well, she was just looking for anything. She's like decided that because she's a 9.5 on a bad day, and he's potentially like only an 8.5. She must basically like. Is there any way of getting him accidentally drowned during our wedding? Is that okay? That is the vibe.
She's like, how dare he be nice to everybody. How dare he charm my mum?
What's he
wants
trying?
something.
It's
almost like he wants to get to know me.
I know.
What's he playing at?
And
Really
everyone's fallen for it, except for me. Then he does the money tree bit in his speech, and she realizes that she may have judged him too soon. I don't think anything he said in his speech changed the money tree narrative, because technically
No, he just explained what the money tree was.
But he didn't really. He explained what it was physically, but I have no fucking clue what Mum was trying to get at with this. Like, you plant $1 and it becomes a tree full of, like, is that about hard work and effort? Because I worry that it is mainly about just keep putting dollar coins in the soil and. I don't get it. I still don't get it.
I think that perhaps
we're back on the money tree again.
Yeah, when he referred to the money tree when he was talking to Melinda, I think she thought that was a metaphor for my parents just gave me money. I got my money from the money tree.
No, what his parents gave him was weed.
What they actually did was actually give him money. They actually did give him money.
Yeah.
He put $1 in the ground and they rewarded him with heaps more money taped to a tree.
Is it supposed to be about the miracle of like Ponzi scheme level interest? I don't understand sorry, we've got to move on. Let's ban the money tree.
The money was glued to the tree, so maybe
taped.
The money's still there. We just don't know.
Is this like a real pod, like investigative podcast? What the fuck is going on with the money tree?
I swore to God that the couples where nothing much happened, we were going to spend like 30 seconds to a minute on, and we've already just like money treed ourselves right out of that. At the dinner party, Melissa suggested to Melinda to get intimate with Leighton, but in her own time, which flies in the face of Melissa being shocked that Melinda wouldn't sleep with her husband on the first night. But, different folks, different strokes, I guess.
Literally. Melinda, actually, I was, she wasn't the most sympathetic character up until the dinner party.
Yeah.
Or should we save that interaction for Bronte and Harrison? But she really stepped up and called some people out, and I was like, oh, there's maybe more to her than we thought in the first instance.
I mean, everything about them is redemption arc, right?
Yeah, I think so.
The couple's coming good, and she was just outstanding in that dinner party.
Yeah,
and
they seem to be just like potentially a slow burn, but they could get there in the end. They have a lot in common. Including both having a fear of commitment, which seems fine. Lyndall and Cam. No, hang on. Who else got married?
No.
Melissa and Josh.
Melissa and Josh.
We're doing a whole podcast on this. It's fine.
Oh my gosh, these two.
Lovely wedding. Both very happy.
I don't know. When did it start getting disgusting?
Oh, it started getting
Instantly.
disgusting like at a hen's party. But in terms of their impressions of each other and everything during the wedding was like they both were very, very happy. And then
she definitely got her Thor.
She got her Thor
in Toy Story pajamas, as Thor typically. Obviously.
Well, Thor is technically a Disney property.
I know. That's what buzzes me out.
He should have been thrilled by it all.
Totally.
It's really interesting because I'm not sure. I just don't know how to process this myself. Melissa is almost aggressively sexual at points. She's reaching out and touching and all that kind of stuff, which I feel a little uncomfortable about. But I also love that she's openly like proud of her horniness, but also her, she knows what she wants, and she wants to, in 5 years' time, still have a healthy sex life with her husband. And I don't think that's anything to be ashamed of.
But I think these two things can simultaneously be true, right? Like, one, it's really, really cool to see a woman of her age in particular, but anyone just being like, yeah, this is my sexuality. It's super important to me. I'm going to own it. And maybe it is the edit, but she does not. I think Josh is kind of right that she doesn't seem to have anything else that's on the agenda. The fact that she doesn't know what his really basic job is, like 8 days in, is so heartbreaking and intense. And the sort of the aggressive horniness at the expense of just like there being any other interest within the relationship. And she even basically says as much. Like, I think both those things can be true,
I think it's so weird how the sticking point for me is like, he's clearly being intimate with her. Like, there's no problems there. He's just communicates it differently and has different levels of comfort in terms of disclosure and has been raised a certain way.
Maybe a little bit of a volume difference. Like,
frequency.
Yeah, there might be a frequency search.
Yeah. But also they just met, you know, like I don't know. I think it's really tense.
I think that I'm actually erring on the side of Melissa in this because I suspect that she's gotten a pretty rough edit. We don't know whether or not Josh knows what she does for a job either. But I think when he went to the cameras and said, no, we didn't have sex, I think to her that felt like he was embarrassed. Yeah. He didn't want to admit it. And that was kind of, I think that was the breaking point. You know, she'd been pleasantly surprised that he was, as she would say, a freak in the sheets. And she'd really enjoyed their intimacy. And then, you know, she was really happy to say it on camera. And then he denied it. And obviously producers told her that. And I think that was, for her, that was like...
Yeah, that definitely got to her. In terms of the rough edit, like, I'm sure that's true. Like, but the wealth of material. Like, there are just so many different occasions where she is talking about Thor and his hammer and yeah, like it's just you almost never see the same expression of an identical sentiment because she's just given them nothing but.
I'm sure that they're asking her a lot of leading questions about sex, and I also think that she probably hasn't communicated super well to Josh that not only was this a problem in her last marriage, but it's because of that she's extremely sensitive to it and she's concerned. It's come on a bit too, I don't know, a bit too sort of aggressively. Here's what I want and you must give it to me. Yeah. Rather than, hey, this was a really big problem and I just really don't want that to happen again. I think she does say that, but it's mixed in a really heightened moment where they're starting to like be a bit of a slanging match and I just honestly think the producers or the experts, whoever made the decision, really just stitched these two up by putting them together because something is so important to her and is not, you know, like with someone who's quite conservative and private around intimacy. And in fact, said, what did he say? He had this great line about, she's making me out to be a super conservative guy, but I'm not. When I'm in private, I will behave in a manner that is appropriate for husband and wife.
But I think that's great. You know, like, I don't know. I feel a little bit uncomfortable about Melissa on this show. I know this is kind of a hacky thing to say, but if you reverse those genders, it would be completely outrageous. Totally. And I know that it's important that women like own their sexuality, but to the point where you're pushing it as this like central thing on another person who you've just met, I find it really uncomfortable. And I think it's interesting how the edit seems to have like, initially it was played as a super like funny thing for laughs. And we've seen as it's kind of, the weeks kind of transpired, it's become this like very awkward thing. And I kind of respected Josh in that moment he's clearly someone who struggles with conflict and communication, for pulling out that line of being like, what do I do for work? Totally. You know, like bringing out, like zooming out for a second. And you could see that instantly made her realize, oh, I've actually been like laser focused on this one thing to the detriment of everything else. Totally. I'm also not entirely convinced about having healthy sex life in a 5-year plan. I don't know. I feel like that probably wasn't in everyone's little pool to draw from. No, but when you're like property, kids, like isn't like sex in a relationship just like having a laugh?
But that's the Josh school of thought, and this is what they need to have a conversation on. And I think the experts will get to this because I think that it definitely won't be necessarily a priority for everyone. But because she's come out of a loveless, sexless marriage, one thing she's not willing to compromise on is going back to there, and intimacy is very important to her. I think framing it like, it's not so much, I want to be still having lots of sex in 5 years. It's, I want to still have a healthy relationship in 5 years with my husband in the bedroom.
I mean, I basically think that the experts have made themselves this like crazy Rubik's Cube here. I also think they've got a really potentially like there's a world where this relationship actually resolves, and because healthy sex life is just could not be more in the eye of the beholder, right? Like what is, you know, would be sexless in one context would be perfectly healthy to another couple. And that's just a conversation that you probably would really struggle to have. Like it'd be difficult in a lot of like long-term relationships, let alone someone you just met. So I think the experts can potentially help walk them through that and so on. Like, and I don't think it's crazy to have like that in a 5-year plan, particularly for someone like Melissa, it's just clearly something which she is just it's been a big part of her life and so on. So I like, but I totally take your point, Alex. There is this like sense that, it's just quite overwhelming. And yes, some of that can be the edit, but there's just, even if everything is on camera and there was also sorts of other nice stuff, it's a fuck of a lot.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I don't disagree with what you're saying. I still maintain that they were I still can totally see a really interesting coupling of two extremely horny people who then have to get past just that and learn more about each other. And I guess we had that a little bit with Ella and Mitch last year.
True.
And that be kind of maybe just less brutal for the actual people involved, because we knew what was going to happen with these two, and it's playing out, and we just didn't expect to get so much like Disney pajamas in that, which is so good.
That's the thing. Can we at least acknowledge unbelievable TV? Like, what a
incredible
gift. During a cyclone. Things have been a bit of a rough, ropey old summer. To be able to watch this, unbelievably cruel as it might be, very nice, very good time.
I mean, I feel like I might get the ick from Disney pajamas.
Yeah.
Like to that level.
Especially tops and bottoms.
Tops and bottoms.
Do not come into my house at night.
But on your wedding,
Mr. Potato Head.
I know you do. But on your wedding night,
True.
I feel like we have to give Melissa some credit for that not even being a thing.
That was so good.
He'd be holding up like my Pocahontas or my Lion King.
Yeah. Or my full Lion King outfit, including hair.
She would be into that. She'd be like, yeah, let's get that onesie off here.
And he's like, what's your favourite Toy Story character? Woody.
Woody. Do you get it? He's like, no, I really don't. Fuck, that was what champagne television? What fucking vintage Dom was that? My God.
It was the first impressions that really sent them over the edge when he saw her sort of talking about him and his hammer and all that kind of thing. And he just doesn't want to be a sex object, a disposable sex toy. In fact, that's what he does not want to be. I think
he's right to say that.
I also think Duncan's right that I think this is salvageable. I think this is more salvageable than Bronte and Harrison.
Yeah.
Nothing's less salvageable than that. That's like freaking Wish and Shein level, like disposable one-use nightmare. Looking forward to talking about it.
I think it just comes down to their communication as well, because there was one thing I wrote down when they were in like the heat of that big last fight, and she was like, I just don't see anything wrong with having an active sex life with my husband, but neither does he. Like that's the thing. There's no problem here.
This is where I think the experts will hopefully help them get on the same page.
Yeah.
She's just super sensitive from her past experience. He is obviously a very deeply kind of like emotionally and intelligently connected guy, where he wants to just like have a mate outside of the sheets as well. And if they can find a nice little common ground there and understanding, they'll be golden.
How brutal.
I mean, Alessandra is just cracking her knuckles there, ready to go.
Alessandra will be so great with this. Just one more quick thing. Like when he said he was going to bed and she said, I might reach out and give you a tat or something. Did that vibe like just one quick fuck?
No,
because it like did a little bit to me, and I felt like that's what he was saying.
I actually found this to be her tapping, like saying, "By the way, I don't want to go to bed without saying good night. So when I come to bed, I'll probably tap you on the shoulder and say good night."
I might tap that. I'm just saying.
He said tap you on the shoulder or something. Oh no, did she just say I might tap you and say good night?
It was tap you.
Okay.
I just seemed like he was scared.
But did you notice he took off his ring?
Yeah.
And put it in the drawer?
Oh, mama.
Yeah. And all the while wearing heart jersey cotton heart with a Mickey Mouse pajama tee. Very cute.
Do you find it hard staying optimistic with all the financial news in the media? I'm Bernard Hickey, and on my podcast, When the Facts Change, I'm here to help you navigate the ever-changing landscape of economics in Aotearoa. So join the conversation every Friday on When the Facts Change, brought to you by the Spin-Off Podcast Network in partnership with KiwiBet.
Talofa Lover. I'm Madeline Chapman, editor at The Spin-Off. If you have the means, consider supporting our high-quality journalism by becoming a Spinoff member. Sign up now at thespinoff.co.nz/donate.
Kia ora, I'm Alex Casey, Senior Writer at The Spinoff. We wouldn't exist without the ongoing support of our generous members. If you're able to, you can make a donation at thespinoff.co.nz/donate.
Tani and Ollie, nothing to say here. They just, they're very happy. Happy
They're
young
boning.
things.
They nailed the photo challenge.
Oh, yeah.
So, we're 10 seasons in. I don't know how many seasons of that have had the photo challenge, but
Put your partner first.
Just
Put your partner
so
first.
easy. Or 2 3/4 if you're Harris.
But I also liked how they, instead of just going for the linear on the wall, sort of did a tiered sort of pyramid system. So it was sort of like not as brutal. And you obviously put your partner at the top.
You obviously put, and even
perfect.
And even if you are going just like, you don't have to just base it on physical attractiveness. You don't.
No.
There's nothing in there that says that. So you can say, I'm going to put this person first because they just seem like a good hang, or like you don't, and like you're not above your partner ever, but even when you're going through and ordering everybody else, you can give reasons that aren't necessarily like, oh, he's super hot and I always go for someone who's got blonde hair, so that's why I'm putting this one near the top. Just be like, he's got a nice smile and seems like a nice guy, so I put him near the top, but you obviously are number one with a bullet. One last thing on Tani and Ollie, they read the One Direction book in bed, which was quite cute.
They're just
Gen Z.
massively cute. I was worried about them initially. I thought I had just got a little bit of a vibe from Ollie, like he was a bit too kind of good looking in high school and it might have stunted his emotional growth. And then I saw one of his best men and he just had this real fucked up haircut. And I was like, oh no, is this going to be a nightmare? But no, they're just real lovely and it's cute.
Okay, who else do we need to talk about? Lyndall and Cam, again, they just lovely, having a lovely time. Watch back their first impression. Task was to watch back the videos of each other on their wedding day, of which they were just like talking each other up and completely glowing. So they're married forever now.
Yep.
So sweet. And Lyndall's such a nice lady. She was so good with Claire when they got into the dinner party, like helping her go over to Jessie for the umpteenth time. We'll talk about those two. Oh my God.
Oh.
Nightmare on
We're
earth.
basically the 3 couples we need to talk about and then some others we can just say, well done, you're lovely.
Yeah, well done, you're lovely. Okay.
Good mix though. Like I don't find anyone boring yet. Like
No.
I'm never mad when you cut to them because even the lovely ones aren't like, there's somehow just like a little something.
What about
there.
your namesake? So lovely, so handsome.
Okay, Duncan's response to that confession, I was like, that's a bit much, Duncan. You need to chill. Like, I'm glad that he's recovered it, but given her background, I thought being the sort of third party in an affair with a married man was like not
norm.
It's
That's what you do.
It's the
Sunday.
norm.
It's the norm. It's what you do at your potluck lunch.
Yeah. So like, come on, like it's a polyamorous society, and yeah, and Duncan also his T-shirt said that he was a member of some weightlifting thing from like 1985. He's only 36 years old, so I don't even know how that can even be true. So a couple of red flags for me with Duncan.
That was such a weirdly designed T-shirt, did you think? Like
Very
the writing was
strange.
very small and very sparse.
Yeah.
And it didn't seem like a cool T-shirt. Like it genuinely seemed like a T-shirt from 1985, which, yeah, to your point, does not make sense.
None of it.
I think anyway, they're fine. They seem to be able to solve problems. Blah blah blah.
I do like that there's someone called Duncan on the show. Okay, I said it. I admit it.
And that he's like a mega hot babe and all that.
I mean,
That helps.
that's fine. All the space he just looks the same. Yeah.
Hashtag not all Duncans.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's so mean.
No, it's accurate.
Okay, Caitlin and Shannon. This was one that I didn't expect to go gangies, and it did.
Mm.
Except for, I mean, when I think back to the wedding and he said that she had a great rig,
Oh my God.
that was quite a red flag.
Shannon has given me the worst ick the whole way from go to
Now,
whoa.
When Shannon got those photos and just took to it like so fast and then said something like, he put out all the sort of blonde babes and was like, I normally try and approach chicks like this. Usually they say no. They get an off vibe from me.
Well, they don't just say no. You found out why they said no.
The way that he read them was just like, hey, unfortunately, this is just science. And, like, you can't fuck with the scientific method. It's literally illegal. It just, And she's so cute. And it's like, fuck, dude.
What about this? This one here would impress your mates.
Oh.
So that's
God.
like not using their names as well and just being like, oh yeah, this one would be good to show off to the guys. And then,
And also choosing Melinda, who is like on paper the same description as Caitlin, but just being like, here's a better version basically. Is so brutal.
And he's got that like store brand Cillian Murphy kind of like that those very scary eyes. Like I know that I've already been mean about him, but it's like he lives in a different country, so it's fine. But he just gives me a lot of murderer, and it's
something
scary
just a bit
to
off.
me.
Something just a bit off.
Yeah.
He puts Caitlin second behind Melinda, and then goes, nah, moves it down to third.
No, but it's not third. It's 2 3/4. It's.
I think he was putting her between. He just couldn't be bothered moving the pieces.
No, he's just
so
doing
bad.
science.
And again, he's got this thing that all like heaps of maths grooms have, where they're like, it's just honesty. You wanted me to be honest, and he said, I'm getting the honesties out.
I'm going to use that now. That's quite good. He said, and then he said to her as he moved her down, I've gotten to know you, and the emotions kick in. So does that mean that because he's gotten to know her, he's moving her down because he doesn't like her personality as well? Like, this guy makes no sense.
And he's like, I eat with my eyes.
Cannibal.
I've got
Cannibal.
Gross, bro. And good point. And he said to her, or about someone else, her natural beauty shines more than yours. He said that about Claire. I mean, the guy has just done a what not to do in every way, the worst way in this challenge.
Also just going on the show with like extreme unresolved ex issues that he has no intention of blocking out.
He's in love with his ex still. He's on the phone to her. They've got a child together. Did you notice her phone case had self-love isn't selfish, it's important written on it?
They have stitched her up in a real brutal way as well. Like that, because that when she's talking to the producer and just talking about how this happens to her over and over, and she almost seems like she's on the verge of breaking down. You're just like...
And then at the end of the interview, and they say, so where does this leave you to her? And she says, can I cry now? Is that okay? Like the poor thing had been holding it together the whole interview. She doesn't obviously know where it leaves her. She has a proper not for TV cry, like a proper cry. And then she says, it's not new for her to be in this position. Remember at the beginning, she was like, her dating radar is non-existent. So that's why she was putting her trust in the experts to deliver her someone who's in a toxic relationship with the mother of his child and still in love with.
And just so much gel.
It's a nightmare.
Like, it's more gel than hair at this point.
Like, do you think are the experts going to be like watching this back going, we didn't know about the ex-wife and the child? Weird. We forgot to ask about that.
The ex-wife seems quite angry that he's on the show.
In our tens and thousands of hours of interviews, we forgot to ask about the current relationship it's still in.
Yeah, you're just checking you're single, because that seems to be a problem for a non-trivial number of grooms, plural, on this season.
I just wish that people like Caitlin and Bronte could have a big red panic button in their apartment that they could hit at a point, and the groom falls through a trapdoor, and then they get a beautiful bombshell walks in. They obviously, in Love Island, they've clearly got hordes of bombshells waiting in the wings for each person, whoever needs kind of a partner to stir up the storyline. I just wish some of these women could have a proper go.
I kind of think that that's not crazy for future MAFS to have a sort of a limited number of a 2-week switch, some kind of a thing. If the experts are judged,
it's called the dinner party.
I mean, I guess that's true. But maybe they can be more explicit about there is a remix week or something. I don't know. I mean, then it is Love Island, I guess. But far out, they've just those 3 women have been absolutely just done over by this goddamn show.
Always the women as well. It's very rare that you get women who are as toxic and just overtly horrendous as these men.
It's almost like it's a reflection of society.
It's weird like that, isn't it? He admits that he's on the fence, but he if he with his ex in case him and Caitlin didn't work out, which is sounding familiar.
That's so sweet.
She needs to see Shannon put in some boundaries, so they're sticking around. I think the other thing to remember as well, though, because we look at them, we're like, why, especially someone like Bronte, why, just go home, save yourself the trouble. Same with Claire, just get out of there. But there's part of them that have been all geared up psychologically for this experience and being part of the television show and wanting to go to the dinner parties and the fear of failure of their couple being the one that fails early on, all of that stuff.
Well, also, it's not full Love Island, you're like a millionaire just by being on the show, but certainly, you become a proper monster celebrity, not just in Australia, but, around the world. I loved that little montage they did at the start of this season. And it is kind of worth putting up with some shit to, make it through a month to the point where you're an ex-MAFS contestant and not just a curiosity.
Yeah, and they haven't even got in front of the experts yet. That's also something that can totally flip these dynamics and these relationships. To that point, is this real early to have a dinner party?
And really late to have a stay or go and to have confessions week with all of its attendant chaos before you've even talked to an expert about the insane person you've been married to.
I swear we don't normally get to the dinner party this early when you're still kind of wait, who is that? Who is that?
We normally have the dinner party is the thing right before the commitment ceremony. It's normally that's the last episode. Right.
And the honeymoons seem to take longer normally. I think there's a week of honeymoon. I don't know. A wonderful show. I don't care.
Wonderful show.
Are there any other couples?
Yeah. There's other couples.
Let's go through some nice ones. Just bang, 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 and then we get to the horror.
Adam and what's her name? Sorry.
Janelle?
Janelle. Adam and Janelle.
I feel like Adam is kind of getting away with Moida here because of the other bad guys on the show.
Adam is getting away with Moida. He is.
He is clearly doing bad things. He's no, I think it's actually more trusting to just not to just not look.
Yeah, and if you want to look oh no, I threw it off the balcony. Oh,
and in fact,
damn it, hell.
I'm going to pick up this card. I think we should just rip up the challenge card entirely and burn it so no one even knows that we were supposed to do that thing.
It wasn't
that's
that
weird. Someone's done the factory restore factory settings on my phone. That's curious.
Well, yeah. And I might have just been missing for 3 hours with Claire, but I was just consoling her. It's absolutely fine. What is with that fucking crazy satanic panic metal freak? Definitely don't pay attention to me.
I've definitely got a job, by the way. Yeah. Definitely those prizes are flying online.
Adam did the groundwork in this argument because he made such a big deal about Jesse behaving so badly by wanting to see his phone that then kind of putting Janelle in a position where if she said, oh, look, I actually really do want to do this challenge and I do want to see your phone. He's basically saying to her, if you do that, you're just like Jesse. If you demand to see my phone, then you're tainted with the same ick that Jesse is and I won't like you. So
Adam's a dog. He's a dog. It's going to be great.
Masterclass of manipulation. And Janelle's just good idea. And you're what? How is that a good idea?
No, he's not earned the trust yet.
Hey, but it's good. It's good to have these things like you don't want to have them all exploding at once. You want to have two controlled explosions a week.
That's true. You're right.
True.
Well, he's just in the pocket.
Handle. Okay, so we've also got Sandy and Dan who are having a lovely time.
Oh, gorgeous.
Yeah, very mature, communicative couple. She did the confession letter and shared about, her kind of traumatic experience of bullying in childhood and how that's kind of stayed with her. And he said, how can I support you in that?
Oh,
just mwah, mwah.
He handled that
beautiful.
So well. All their goals are in alignment. Both their photos are at number one. Either they're going to be married for the rest of their days or something bad's going to happen. Who knows with this show? Who first? I'm sorry.
Harrison and Bronte.
Harrison and Bronte.
Very posh names for, like a real ropey old idiot.
It's actually Bronte though, isn't it? It's Bronte. She pronounces it Bronte.
Yeah, Australia.
Yeah.
They pronounce everything crazy.
She's got very, very thick Australian accent. I love it. So When they get to the dinner party, Bronte tells Lyndall about the Goto, which is the girl on the outside. And John Aiken is just head in hands going, not already. Not already.
What is he? He's like, I should have asked how many women you were seeing the day before you started.
And then Harrison brings up the girl on the outside saying she was actually just trying to sabotage his wedding.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Oh my god!
But also, he had a crush on this youngster for a long time, so it was only fair that he bloody,
The way he's managed to spin this to being the victim of the situation.
But he does it every time.
But he also hasn't spun it. He just says this completely indefensible shit and somehow holds a straight face. And poor old gaslit to a crisp. Bronte has to sort of deal with this. Oh God, you're getting all emotional again while you're hiding in the toilet from this terrifying man.
God. And how he's managed to weaponize the thing about she's asked for space, clearly while she tries to figure out what the hell is going on with this man. And now he's like, well, you said you wanted space. I've given you space. What about me? What about my needs? How are you trying? And it's just like,
I know.
Dude,
it's classic.
You have the girl on the outside.
No. He's got a harem on the outside. He made that very clear when he was asked the question. I was seeing multiple women the week before I started, but that was the old me.
There's the old me. I'm different now.
That was last Thursday.
I think
I bought you a cake. I bought you a long cake.
It looked like a boob.
It reminded me of you. Looks like a single boob.
They do yummy cakes in Australia, though. I'll give them that. Bronte has chosen her own adventure a bit here because she's disowned the friend. And I think to the group, it's given credence to some of Harrison's story about it being she was trying to sabotage our wedding. By then Bronte then going, I'm not friends with that girl anymore. Yeah, she was just trying to fuck things up.
Quite crazy to because this woman obviously thought she was eligible to be a bridesmaid. So she's quite close. She's single digits if you're ranking your friendships in the same way you do pictures of your new spouse as part of your normal kind of routine sort of friendship stuff. And for her to go, this fucking acknowledged monster, I'm going to just rely on him and just toss this top 10 ranked friend to the four winds. That's quite full on from Bronte.
I think in a way, she has to, though, if she wants to be on the show. In her mind, she's got to believe the spin. Because if she doesn't believe it, and then she's forced to reckon with the information that she's been given as truth, then she's fucked. So in her mind, she can go, I can buy into this pick a path adventure of actually my friend was trying to fuck up my wedding because she was jealous she wasn't a bridesmaid, and therefore I can give him the benefit of the doubt, which he's really taking the opportunity to prove himself here.
What's good though is even if she does manage to convince herself of that, the dinner party is where other people get to see the situation.
Totally.
And then you get the Alyssa who stopped the whole party by bashing the side of a glass to ask Bronte if she was okay, which was quite full on.
It wasn't also the person that I expected that to come from.
Totally.
No.
It seemed out of nowhere. But Melinda's not buying Harrison's story at all. She really bails him up.
I was actually concerned when Melinda first started picking holes in Leighton that she was going to switcheroo to Harrison because he sort of profiled a little compatible, at least in terms of they both consider themselves 9.5s on a bad day kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then so to see her just surgically slicing and dicing was delicious.
It was incredible when she said, I have advice for Bronte and it's run fast. I was just like, shit, that's a good grab.
Yeah,
and she doesn't even know this guy. This is from one dinner, and she's nailed it.
Poor Bronte has said all he does is make her cry. It's all she's done, and he has not comforted her one time. It's just the basics.
Yeah, but what's she done for him?
Well, just gotten hysterical mostly.
That's right.
They move in together. We get the boob cake. She bails him up about not checking on her, and that's when you get this whole space situation. He says, "Oh, I didn't see you crying." And then, of course, turns around and says, well, what have you done to look after me?
He leaves his room with one set of bags and returns with another. what's going on there. I don't know if you noticed that. Watch that. Some weird continuity shit going on.
So many gaping singlets to try on.
That's right. He's trying to get his arms big enough to fill those holes. She's giving him the space to do that.
He chills me. His face when he's just kind of like composed, and you can see him just chipping away at her sanity, genuinely being like, I didn't see you cry. Why are you going over there? That's not productive. That's not rational. What about me?
He's so clever the way he does it. And I hate to say this about him being clever because I don't want to give him any credit in any way, but he's remaining vocally calm the whole time, which makes it so much worse and calculated. Like, it's not heat of the moment stuff. He's like, I'm not going to give her an inch to say that I'm the one who's raising my voice. I'm going to make her get emotional and get upset. And I can say the whole time, I was just talking. I was just trying to communicate with you. But it's so insidious the way he does it.
But I don't feel like anyone, like any grown-up is buying that as a sort of, you know, an excuse or something that kind of really impacts the realities of the situation. I certainly don't think the experts are going to.
No, I don't think they will, but I think for her, it is what makes, you know, it's another thing to make her feel even more riled up is when someone is saying, you're being hysterical, listen to me, I'm being calm and collected.
He even said he wants the experts to hold Bronte accountable for her behaviour. And it's just like, they better dismantle this man. If they don't, it's going to be a real problem for this show.
She deserves an award for being able to wear cargo pants for a start. I don't know if you noticed that, but God, the woman.
Oh my God, they're back. I read about it on
What are you talking about?
You've got to style them. They've got to be high waisted. You've got to wear a little top.
Robin's been wearing cargo pants for 6 months. I thought I talked about them on the pod.
And she also deserves
an award.
multiple
malls to get cargo pants. Those literally the ones that Bronte was wearing.
Anyone wearing cargo pants,
less than $60.
Come and claim your award. It's sitting with NASA's.
Claire and Jessie. My God. Jesse! I cannot believe. I cannot believe he made it onto the show.
Really? Because
he genuinely seems like he shouldn't be there, and he needs to go and do a lot of therapy and stop twitching and like just, you know, have a bit of a break.
But also weirdly should be on the show heaps more than Harrison. You know, like you can see that underneath the exterior there is like a person, like deep down.
There is a vulnerability that he's prepared to show.
And if he could get through all of his like icks and walls and kind of defense mechanisms, like he feels salvageable in a way that Harrison feels absolutely like should be in some sort of prison.
This is true. I did forget about the confession letter. That was very interesting to find out. Do we talk about him at the dinner party first when he just completely froze out Claire, who's tried multiple times now to try and simply speak to her husband?
Yeah, horrible.
It's a big ask.
He's very childish in that sense. And
totally.
To me, I feel like so much of his behaviour is super defensive, like being the nasty guy before he gets nastied, in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what that's all about. It's like he would have been walking in there and being like, I'm not going to say hello to her if she's not going to say hello to me. Yeah. And that, you know, we find out, you know, obviously he said he's not going to chase girls and all that, so that just ties in with all that.
He does say so much, like, because he's so much smarter than Harrison, he, like, or like more articulate anyway, he says much worse stuff.
Yeah.
Like, and when he does like that impression of her voice, it actually like, it breaks your heart. Like, because just to imagine her, who's actually just such a phenomenally lovely person, who's really probably maybe Max done over out of everyone potentially, and just has to deal with this person who she's attracted to and even against her will is still somehow nice to.
There was a quote from her when she left, I think the first time she tried to breach their marital apartment to have a single conversation, and she said, I want a man but I don't need one, and I sure as shit don't need that kid up there.
Yeah, that's so great.
And I thought that was awesome, and I kind of wish she sort of held on to that a bit because she keeps trying, and I know it's probably like producers in her ear and her just genuinely wanting to give it a good go. But, oh, my God, he's just plain rude to her.
He is. He's incredibly rude. And the producers are definitely getting involved because their apartment was decorated in a way that no other apartment was decorated, purely to annoy him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that pissed him off because he's like, this is more for Claire's taste than mine.
Yeah.
And I bet she's going to go around and say, oh, look at this. Oh, just such an unpleasant person.
He is an extremely unpleasant person, but I'm curious to see if there's going to be any sort of redemption arc, because I do think that his story about being hidden for 2 years, that's horrible.
That's quite full on.
That's really full on. And I think, he did have some level of regulation during when they were just both sat in the apartment after the phone scandal of the night before. He didn't actually go to town in that conversation so much, and in the end said sorry and walked out, realised he was just like, I'm not going to get anywhere with this. I think like other iterations of Jesse we would have seen would have been a much more childish and would have just like shut down a lot more. So I do think there's an element of him, maybe he has the capacity to maybe try, but there's still a lot to get through.
It's just not going to happen on this show, right? Like there's a world where a Jesse type, given years of therapy and infinite patience on the part of his partner, can kind of get better, but the compressed timelines of the show and all of the extra pressures of it, and just how massively mega fucked he is, like. And I just felt so bad for her when she brought that beer over and she was like, I've done it again, and just how just destroyed she was. Yeah. That her kindness was now being kind of taken for weakness by him once again.
Oh, yeah, because who was she with? Was it Lyndall?
She was with Lyndall. And Lyndall
was like, do you want to have a minute to talk together? And he was like, nah. It was just horrible.
Hey,
awful.
Very quickly, because we have to finish, but what is Lyndall's confession next week? Because I am absolutely on my ass about it. They nodded at it from the, during the expert, stay or go couch set.
I missed that.
I missed it too.
Oh my God. She basically says, look, I'm so sorry, but I've got to confess something. And this could be just like a very artful edit, but the whole room was just like exploding. And I'm like, Lyndall? Lovely Lyndall.
I have a confession to make too. While I was watching the confession letters,
you wrote one.
Joe was writing me a confession letter.
Oh my God.
Which he has allowed me very bravely to read out on this podcast, if you will entertain.
Yes.
Okay, is it a joke confession or is it a real confession? Or is that
I'm just going to read the confession and you can be the judge, okay?
Oh my God.
I've got 3 pages here, so I'll go quickly. Alex, what I'm about to tell you comes from a need I have to be honest. I trust that you will be understanding of the fact that we all make mistakes. I've made many mistakes in my life, and I truly believe that they have gifted me opportunities to grow as a person.
Get him on the show.
I made a mistake tonight. One I feel I must confess to you because I don't believe a loving marriage can be built on a bed of potentially harmful secrets. Tonight, when the Uber Eats arrived, I purposefully asked you if you wanted your food plated up because I knew that you would want that. And I also had a devious scheme I had planned that required the food being plated up. I poured my chips on the plate that I wanted to be mine. Then, with your chips, I poured a bit more on my plate, so I had extra. I put the rest on your plate. Then I noticed that it was very obvious that I had taken extra chips. So I quickly ate some of the bad-looking ones from my plate to make it look more even. Then I put the burger in a strategic position to make it all seem normal. I'm very sorry. I hope you can believe when I say I have reflected on what I did and will do everything I can to educate myself and be better. I hope this can help us grow. Joe.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Okay,
I have chills and I'm in tears, obviously.
So how did that make you feel when you heard that, Alex?
I just thought it was so brave of him to open it up like that. Open up about something that I know he's been doing for years.
Because he did frame it like a one-time thing. That was my one critique of this confession, is it didn't seem like a pattern of behaviour. I feel like he's more of like Harrison with the chips, He's having relationships with multiple chippies.
I think I knew where this was going the moment he said about the Uber Eats thing.
The Uber Eats.
I actually think this is more common than people realise. Because
is this something either of you can relate to?
I think that when you offer to serve someone up You have a plan.
Plate is bounty.
Because otherwise, if you don't give a shit about proportions or what you want, you just say, because you don't actually want to plate up for someone else because it's just extra unpaid labor, right? So you just say, I'll let you plate your own so that you can get what you want. Like you do it like you're doing them a favor by letting them plate up. So if you're offering, it's not out of the goodness of your heart. It's not because no one wants to plate up someone else's food. It's because you've got a plan.
There's vested interest.
So
and those bag chips, the bag chips are the premium chips as always. But yeah, I just thought that was really, really powerful.
Really powerful.
Thank you to MAFS for, letting us open up about that in our relationship at home.
And how did he go with the ranking, like you and your friends?
We're doing that next week.
Okay.
I'm just waiting for them to pick up with the warehouse stationery.
I'm sure it's all going to be fine.
I reckon your top 5.
Quickly before you go, we have to say, what do we think happened with Adam and Claire? Did they?
Ooh.
Because I'm at the stage with Claire where I'm quite happy for her to go off with another husband if the other husband was also being treated badly. I'm quite happy for that kind of
Yeah, totally. It's time for a rematch.
But Adam's not. I don't love Adam for Claire.
I think Adam was doing early groundwork for some malarkey.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't think any malarkey got there.
I think it was him on the phone. I do think it happened. I think the edits kind of happened in this weird way where Claire hasn't actually answered to it yet.
Know.
She hasn't actually been put to her because Jessie just has a freaking meltdown anytime they're in the same room. So I think there's more to come. I definitely think there's something there.
I think we'll find out on the couch. Presumably the experts will put that question to her and she'll be forced to answer it, but who knows? Who knows?
Maybe Lyndall saw all.
Oh, maybe. No. Oh, yes, I do remember. And here's my theory on Lyndall is that Jessie hit her up in her DMs or something and that was going to be her big confession. She's going to go, because he'll be complaining about. I reckon that he will be complaining about Claire hanging out with Adam, and then Lyndall really reluctantly is like, I just need to actually say something. Jessie, you messaged me. I reckon that's what's going to happen.
Oh,
I don't know that's what's going to happen, but that's my theory.
What a show.
Great show.
See you at the commitment ceremony Sunday night, and we will be back with this podcast whenever it comes out next week. For week 3. Thanks everyone for listening. Thanks Alex. Thanks Duncan.
Thanks Daniel for going back to back. My God.
What a man. What a man. What a mighty fine man.
Kia ora, this is Toby Manhire, here to urge you to tune in to Gone by Lunchtime, a podcast with me, Annabelle Lee Mather and Ben Thomas, tackling the world of New Zealand politics, from policy to polling, from scandal to psychodrama. Listen to Gone by Lunchtime, brought to you by the Spin-Off Podcast Network, wherever good pods are sold.
Kia ora, I'm Duncan Grieve, founder of The Spin-Off. You can help us keep all of The Spin-Off's award-winning journalism free for everybody by becoming a member today at thespinoff.co.nz/donate.
The Spin-Off Podcast Network.